Hey guys, Infidel1258 here. I want to do a video today talking about the Netflix hit Bird Box. It was a massive success, and you've probably seen it if you clicked on my video. 45 million people saw it in the first week. That's amazing because there are only 137 million Netflix accounts. And so you're talking about 33% roughly of all Netflix accounts. And what's more, as you know, if you have a Netflix subscription, you can share accounts with many individuals in one home or even multiple homes. And so it's very likely the case that when 45 million accounts viewed that movie, that probably 90 or even 100 million people actually saw it. And so it's huge by theatrical release standards. If you were to see that type of wild success in the movie that was released in theaters, you're talking at $10 a ticket, easily $1 billion release. And that's putting you up there with like Avatar and Avengers and like the highest grossing films of all time. So by viewership standards, this was an enormous hit. But from critical review and analysis provided by that I see online, people are making it out to seem like it's simplistic, limited, sometimes silly, and I take issue with those assertions. And so I wanted to spend a little bit of time today talking about what I think the complexity of the film is, the meaning of the film is, and unbox some of the depth that I enjoyed in the film, because I did enjoy the film. I watched it and I really enjoyed Bird Box. But there's definitely spoilers in this video, guys, so if you have not seen the video and you care about spoilers, consider yourself warned. So in the film, there is a apocalypse of sorts where mass suicide starts and begins and flows out from Russia, and it appears to be caused by the people seeing something that is inexplicable and unbearable. We never see it as the viewer of the film, but when any of the people in the film see it, their eyes cloud over and they seem terrified, they seem horribly sad and overwhelmed, and then they take their own life. Or they become enraptured servants of what they have seen. And so this is core to the film. This is core to the meaning of the film. And I'm going to spend probably most of my time on this part, I think. The idea that there is something out there in this world, metaphorically, but also in our world, literally, that is darkness, that is evil, that is sad, that is suffering, that is loss. It's out there, and when we see it, it nearly breaks us, or it does break us. And so you see in one example of people in the movie, it breaks them and forces them into kill themselves. It doesn't make them kill themselves, but they are so saddened that they do kill themselves. And in another population of people, they are so, I would say, reassured or emboldened by the darkness, because I would argue that those people, they live that darkness, they celebrate that darkness in themselves. These are people in real life and in the movie that you would think of as antisocial, as maybe you might describe them as sinful or unscrupulous or self-serving. These people have a viewpoint and they revere it, love it, serve it, no matter how it hurts you. And their viewpoints might hurt you, like a racist viewpoint espoused from a pulpit or from a soapbox might hurt its listener. These people spread the quote-unquote beauty of the creature they've seen, and they don't care if it hurts you, if it drives you mad and forces you into suicide. And so, again, there's a darkness out there, literally and metaphorically, and that in life, um, which when which we have a few different possible responses to. One, we hide from, we run from, we deny, we avoid. And this is you and me in life, but it's also in the movie. The characters in the film, they hide inside, they close the windows, they try to remain quiet, they put blankets and things on the window, sheets on the windows to try and prevent the outside from coming in. There's a character played by John Malkovich, who says of his neighbor, I was going to sue him because he was going to change his home, and the architect was going to put some god-awful glass structure on it. So there's a constant and intentional, obvious, like a rejection of transparency. They don't want open windows. They don't want open doors. They don't. This character literally doesn't want architecture that has lots of glass on it, because transparency is like vulnerability. And we see this in Sandra Bullock's lead character. She is shut in. She's a recluse. She doesn't love. She doesn't share. Her sister walks into her life and provides food and love and community, but Sandra Bullock doesn't want it. The sister is played by Sarah Paulson, and she's a loving servant sister. And then Sandra Bullock's like a recluse artist who is depressed and pregnant and sad about that pregnancy. And constantly in Sandra Bullock, we see that she doesn't want to share her life. She doesn't want to offer love. She wants to do her artwork and nothing else. She wants to close off and not explain how she's feeling or what she's feeling or that she's feeling. She doesn't want to admit that she's having a baby. She kind of denies it and makes it out like it's a joke or it's not going to happen. Meanwhile, her stomach's growing and growing, and the doctor tells her literally, this is coming, this is really coming, get on board with it, or, take plans to set an adoption for some other family that does want this baby. So again, there's this constant imagery of closed offness, or not wanting to share and be vulnerable with what you're feeling and thinking with others. And the glass is representative of that, because we through glass we can see, but when we close that glass with sheets and blankets and obscure the vision outside, we can no longer see. And so we hide ourselves from the outside darkness by closing the windows. And that's a literal statement in the movie, but it's also a metaphorical statement about what you and me do in our lives today. And I think the point of by the film is really that this is not a healthy way of operating in existence. We need to come together. She later makes the point, we need to come together and have real life, not just survivability. We can't just live to breathe. We need to live to love, I think, is what her point is. And so we see again, we see three different responses to this darkness that is real and outside. The first is that we fear it, we run from it, we hide from it. That's the Sandra Bullock, that's the John Malkovich. And the second is that we embrace it, we revere it, we love it, we serve it. That's the fish fingers, that's the crazy guy in the water who tries to tip over the boat. That's the gangs who maraud around the town serving this, trying to make people look at the beauty of the darkness. And third is the scene in the blind school. There's a blind school at the end of the film where Sandra Bullock and her two children, who are then 5 years old, they make it, and it's like a point of salvation. It's like a barricade or a wall or a heaven even, where you make it in and you're safe from the darkness outside. And there's there's life there. There's birds that fly freely. There's greenery. There's food. There's children playing. There's families. And so there's love. And this is, I think, her concluding thought, that because in these last scenes, we see Sandra Bullock, who has these two children who she's never named. They're just boy and girl. The girl is lost and afraid. She's scared of Sandra Bullock because she's so cold, and she's ready to just give up and look at this darkness and come what may. And Sandra Bullock pleads vulnerably and says, I love you, and I'm sorry, and you're right, you need hope, and come with me, and we're gonna have hope, and we're gonna play, and we're gonna have a life. And she cites a story that her lover Tom told the children about playing as youth with other children, and Tom too is juxtaposed against Sandra Bullock's character Mallory. Mallory is, like I said, shut off, hopeless, afraid, reclusive, and not vulnerable and open, whereas Tom is vulnerable, open, honest, brave, self-sacrificing, and so he says to her, these kids need a future to hope about. They need something to believe in. They can't just go on breathing and then one day dying. They need to know that they are loved, which means you need to love them, knowing full well that they could die tomorrow and that they will die one day. And I think that's a beautiful, powerful point that we all could hear today and be changed by. And I think that would make us better people, because, we have people in our lives that we refrain from loving well. We have, mothers and fathers who maybe we don't see as much as we should. Or we have children who we shut out, and when we turn on the TV and we ignore them. We can love and serve the people that are around us better. And if we do, it's good for them, and it's actually good for us. But you know what? It's terrifying. It's terrifying because we have to be vulnerable. We have to open up the glass and let people see into who we really are. And it's scary. And so Mallory, played by Sandra Bullock, is resistant to that. But in the end, she comes to believe that it's only by allowing that vulnerability, by exposing that realness, by being honest about your feelings and offering real love, which is itself vulnerable, can you entice people to come into your world. And she entices the girl to come back into her world, and she provides hope. This is another important thing. She offers hope of a future. And the children, I think, are and a future. They are the future. They are the hope for all humanity. And so we want to foster and protect them. And she kind of recognizes that for the first time, and she begins to say to herself, there is hope, and there is something beautiful work towards and work on behalf of and defend. And so she offers her life to the creature. She says, take me, don't take them. Fortunately, it doesn't get any of them, but she makes that offer, and it's heartfelt, and you get the sense that her character really has changed, and that now she is willing to vulnerably and self-sacrificially love these children. And so she gets into the school, and it's a school for blind people, and that's why they were saved from the creature, because they could never see it in the first place. And that's a comment too on what does it mean to see. These blind people don't have eyes to see, literal eyes to see. They don't have the vision that you and I might have, but they clearly see. They see something worth living for. They see a future. They see hope. They see family and love. And so I think to me, there are 3 ways to survive this darkness is the point. 1, you hide from it. 2, you serve it. And 3, you don't let your life be defined by it. You actually define your life by hope for the future. Because yes, there's darkness outside, but we can enter that darkness. We can overcome that darkness. We can fight against it, stand against it, and serve something more beautiful. Love and hope and family. And so I thought that was the meaning of the film, and I loved it. I thought it was powerful. I thought it was gripping. I thought it was terrifying at times. And I really enjoyed it, and I was surprised to see the kind of, I think, 70% ratings on Rotten Tomatoes and on IMDb. I thought it was great, guys. I encourage you to check it out. I'm going to comment probably more on it if you guys want. I certainly have thoughts on what was the creature. So many more thoughts here. There's Christian imagery I didn't touch on. There's so many more things I'd love to say, but this is a really long video. So, guys, thank you for your time and attention. If you want to know more, leave a comment below. I'd love to engage you. Find me on steemit.com @infidel1258. God bless you.